Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. Not something cute. Not something social media taught you. I'm talking about the truth. Because when a man is mentally attached to you, it's deeper than flowers, deeper than good morning texts, deeper than him saying, "I miss you." A man can say a lot of things with his mouth, but his mind will always tell on him. When a man is mentally attached to you, the first place it shows is in his thoughts, because his mind keeps going back to you even when you are nowhere near him. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain this clearly, because men don't casually give their thoughts away. A man can enjoy your company like your beauty, even desire you physically, but thinking about you when you're not present is a whole different level. That means you've crossed from attraction into attachment. His mind starts pulling you in without permission. He'll be at work, focused on a task, and suddenly something reminds him of you. A phrase you said, the way you laughed, the advice you gave him, or even the silence you shared. And he didn't ask for that memory to show up, it just did. That's how you know it's real. A mentally attached man replays moments with you in his head. He doesn't just remember what you look like, he remembers how you made him feel. Men are very visual, yes, but emotional impressions are what stick. If you brought him peace, understanding, or motivation, his mind will crave that feeling again. So when he's stressed, tired, or overwhelmed, his thoughts drift toward you because you represent mental relief. You become a safe place in his head. That's powerful because men are constantly battling pressure, expectations, and responsibility. If his mind associates you with calm or clarity, he'll keep returning to you mentally whether he wants to or not. You'll notice this attachment in small, almost accidental ways. He brings up things you mentioned weeks ago. He remembers details you thought he forgot. He connects everyday situations back to you without realizing it. That's not effort, that's imprint. His brain has linked you to his daily life. Even when he's with friends, a joke will remind him of you. Even when he's alone, you're not fully absent. And here's the truth, ladies, a man cannot fake where his thoughts go when no one is watching. Another sign is that he starts checking his phone without realizing why. Not because you texted, but because his mind expects you. He wonders what you're doing. He imagines your reaction to things happening in his life. He mentally consults you before decisions. That's attachment. You've become part of his internal dialogue. And once you're there, removing you creates a mental gap that feels uncomfortable. This is also why distance doesn't always weaken a mentally attached man. Sometimes it makes it stronger. Because when you're gone, his mind fills the space with thoughts of you. Silence doesn't erase attachment, it often exposes it. He may not say anything, he may even act strong, but mentally, you're still there, occupying space he didn't plan to give away. And that's when you know you're not just someone he knows. You're someone his mind has chosen. When a man is mentally attached to you, the second place it shows is in how deeply your opinion starts to matter to him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is important because men are raised to trust themselves first. A man listens to many voices in his life, friends, family, co-workers, but very few voices actually influence how he thinks and moves. So when your words begin to carry weight in his decisions, that's not coincidence, that's attachment. He may not announce it, but internally he's already given you a seat at the table of his mind. You'll see it in how he pauses after you speak. He doesn't brush off your thoughts or quickly change the subject. Instead, he reflects, he considers. He might even defend your point later when you're not around. That's because your perspective has entered his thinking process. A man who isn't mentally attached might hear you, but he won't absorb you. When he's attached, Your words echo long after the conversation ends. Another sign is that he starts seeking your input, even on things that don't seem emotional. He asks what you think about his plans, his choices, his next move. Not because he's unsure of himself, but because your opinion gives him clarity. In his mind, you see things differently, maybe more calmly or more honestly, and he values that. Men don't look for advice from women they don't respect, and respect is the foundation of mental attachment. You may notice that he adjusts his behavior based on something you said once. Maybe you mentioned you value honesty, and suddenly he's more transparent. Maybe you shared a boundary, and he remembers it without being reminded. That's powerful. It means your words have become internalized. He's not changing to impress you, he's changing because your opinion now lives inside him. And when a man begins to self-correct because of you, the attachment is already deep. A mentally attached man also becomes more sensitive to your reactions. He notices when your tone shifts. He senses when you're disappointed, even if you don't say it directly. Your approval starts to matter in a quiet but significant way. Not in a desperate way, but in a meaningful one. He doesn't want to disappoint you because disappointment from you hits his mind differently. It lingers. What's happening here is subtle but profound. Your voice has become familiar and trusted in his mental world. He measures situations against how you might feel about them. He imagines what you would say if you were there. And even if he doesn't always agree, the fact that he considers your viewpoint before acting is the clearest sign of mental attachment. When a man allows a woman's opinion to shape his thinking, he's already connected at a level deeper than attraction. That's not surface interest. That's mental alignment. When a man is mentally attached to you, one of the clearest signs is that he feels emotionally safe with you. And ladies and gentlemen, this is something most people don't truly understand about men. Men are not taught to express what's happening inside their minds. They're taught to endure, to fix, to push through. So when a man starts letting you into his inner world, that means his mind has identified you as a safe place. And mental safety is not given lightly. It's earned. You'll notice this when he starts sharing thoughts that don't make him look strong. He talks about his doubts, his fears, his frustrations, and the pressure he carries. These aren't conversations he has with just anyone. A man may joke around, flirt, or keep things surface level with many women, but he will only open his mental vault to someone he feels deeply attached to. When he lets his guard down with you, that's his mind saying, I trust you with me. This emotional safety shows up in the way he speaks. His tone becomes more honest, less performative. He doesn't feel the need to impress or pretend. He can sit in silence with you without feeling uncomfortable. He doesn't rush to fill every gap with words. That comfort comes from knowing he doesn't have to be on alert around you. His mind can rest. And for a man, mental rest is rare and precious. You may also notice that he becomes more expressive over time. At first, it might be small admissions. Then it turns into deeper conversations late at night. He starts revisiting old experiences, unresolved situations, or dreams he never spoke out loud. That progression matters. It shows his mind is slowly releasing walls it's built over years. And walls don't come down unless there's strong attachment holding them up. Another sign of emotional safety is how he reacts when there's conflict. A mentally attached man doesn't immediately shut down or disappear. He may struggle, but he comes back to talk. That's because losing emotional safety with you feels threatening to his mind. He doesn't want to disconnect from the place where he feels understood. Even if he needs space, he doesn't want separation. He wants resolution. You'll also see that he's more receptive to comfort from you than from others. Your reassurance works in ways others' words don't. When you tell him he's capable, he believes it. When you tell him he's not alone, it eases something inside him. That's because your presence has become associated with emotional regulation. His mind relaxes when you're near, physically or emotionally. When a man feels emotionally safe with you, that's not just a feeling. That's a mental attachment. It means you are no longer just someone in his life. You are someone his mind relies on. When a man is mentally attached to you, his mind begins to place you into his future without him consciously deciding to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most revealing signs, because men don't casually imagine the future with someone unless that person already feels mentally anchored. A man can enjoy the present with many people, but the future is where his real intentions lie. When you start showing up there naturally, that's attachment speaking. You'll hear it first in his language. He starts using words like well without thinking. He talks about events, plans, or ideas that haven't happened yet and includes you as if it's obvious. Not in a forced or overly dramatic way, but in a casual, comfortable way. That's important. It means his mind already assumes your presence. He's not asking permission, he's acting from instinct. This mental shift also shows up in how he plans. He considers timing differently. He thinks about how choices might affect you, even if he doesn't say it out loud. If he's making a decision about work, travel, or lifestyle, you're part of the equation. That doesn't happen when a man is only emotionally entertained. That happens when his mind has bonded and started organizing life with you in it. Another sign is that he starts sharing long-term thoughts, not just dreams but concerns. He talks about where he wants to be, what he wants to build, what he's afraid might go wrong. Future thinking comes with vulnerability, and vulnerability only shows up where there's mental attachment. He's letting you see his unfinished picture, not just the polished version of himself. That means he trusts you to be part of the journey, not just the highlight moments. You may also notice that he becomes more consistent. Mentally attached men seek stability. His communication evens out. His presence becomes more reliable. That's because his mind is aligning his behavior with the future he's imagining. Inconsistency creates mental tension, and when a man is attached, he wants harmony between what he thinks and how he acts. Even during uncertainty, you remain in his mental landscape. He might say he's not ready or that he's figuring things out, but you're still there. That's the key difference. A man who isn't mentally attached removes people from his future when things get complicated. A mentally attached man struggles to do that because your presence feels natural to his thinking. When a man starts seeing you in tomorrow without effort, without pressure, without being asked, that's not fantasy. That's mental commitment taking shape. When a man is mentally attached to you, he becomes protective of your peace. And ladies and gentlemen, this goes far beyond jealousy or control. This kind of protection is quiet, thoughtful, and rooted in awareness. A man who is not mentally attached may care about you in moments, but a mentally attached man is concerned with how the world affects you when he's not there. Your emotional state begins to matter to him because your peace is connected to his own mental balance. You'll see this in the way he changes how he speaks to you. He becomes more careful with his words, not because he's afraid, but because he understands the weight they carry. He notices what drains you and what uplifts you. If something stresses you out, he doesn't minimize it. Instead, he adjusts. That adjustment is important. Men do not naturally rewire their behavior unless there's a strong internal reason to do so. Mental attachment creates that reason. He also becomes aware of the environments you're in. He asks questions about your day, not out of obligation, but concern. If something upsets you, it lingers in his mind. He may not always know how to fix it, but he wants to reduce the noise around you. That's because when a man is mentally attached, your emotional disturbances disrupt his mental peace. He doesn't like the idea of you carrying unnecessary stress. Another sign is that he avoids being the source of your pain. Even when there's disagreement, he becomes more conscious of how far he goes. He may still express himself, but he doesn't want to cross certain lines. Hurting you mentally doesn't feel neutral to him. It feels personal. A man who isn't attached can walk away after conflict and feel fine. A mentally attached man carries the emotional weight with him. You might also notice that he defends your space, even when you're not present. He corrects people who speak carelessly about you. He sets boundaries with others that protect your name and your energy. This isn't about showing off or proving loyalty. It's instinctive. In his mind, protecting you is part of protecting what matters. Over time, this protection extends inward. He encourages you to rest, to slow down, to choose yourself when you're overwhelmed. Not because he wants control, but because he values your well-being. Your calm becomes important to him. Your smile becomes a sign that things are right. When a man protects your peace, it's because his mind has linked your emotional health to his own stability. That's not surface care. That's mental attachment at work. When a man is mentally attached to you, letting go becomes one of the hardest battles he will ever fight. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where the truth really shows itself. A man can walk away physically and still be completely connected mentally. He can go silent, pull back, even convince himself that distance is the right thing to do, but his mind refuses to detach. And that inner struggle is the clearest sign of deep mental attachment. You'll see this in his inconsistency. One moment he seems distant, the next he reappears. Not because he's playing games, but because his mind is torn between logic and attachment. Logic tells him to move on. Attachment keeps pulling him back. His thoughts circle around you even when he tries to focus on something else. He replays conversations, wonders what you meant, imagines how things could have gone differently. That mental loop doesn't happen when there's no attachment. Indifference is quiet. Attachment is noisy. A mentally attached man also struggles with emotional replacement. He may meet other people, talk to others, even try to distract himself, but none of it settles his mind. That's because attachment isn't about availability, it's about connection. His mind has already bonded with your energy, your presence, your way of thinking. Comparing others to you becomes automatic, not intentional. And most of the time, those comparisons don't work in his favor. Something is missing, and he feels it. You may notice that he keeps